I'm Brandon Boswell. I'm a building inspector for the city of Mebane. I'm going to be going over a building rough inspection. All right, so first thing when a building rough in inspection, we're going to come in the garage. We're going to look first at the wing wall, make sure it's got 2-inch washers on the bolts and make sure they're tight. And then we look around at the mud seal and make sure your bolt spacing is correct. So on the mud seal bolts, you got to have a bolt every 12 inches of an opening and then every 6 feet spaced out. After we look at the mud seal bolts, we'll come up here and look at the floor system, make sure any of these floor joists are not damaged or drilled through. Engineered so they can't be tampered with. Then we look at the hangers, make sure we got the right hangers on the floor joist. These are H1B1 hangers, so we look on our paper and we make sure they're correct. Then we check the LVL, make sure it's not damaged. It's also engineered, so it can't be damaged. And then we make sure our roof trusses are laid out right, correct space, and make sure they're the right trusses for the layout. And then we look at our top plates and make sure they're not cut within 2 foot of each other or we have to strap them. All right, now we go to the air barrier from the garage to the home. Any penetration in the air barrier has to be sealed. Blocking's got to be done and sealed. Air barrier under the stairway's got to be sealed. Any penetration in the stairway's got to be sealed. All right, when we come inside, we're going to look at the headers. Make sure the nail pattern's good. Make sure they got the king stud and jack studs underneath the header. If you got more than 4 studs, got to be strapped top, middle, and bottom. Then we look at penetrations too through the top plate. Anywhere there's a top plate cut, it's got to be strapped within 2 feet. We look at the floor joists, make sure we don't have anything drilled through the floor joists, any kind of damaged floor joists. So in here, we come in here and we look at the loads carried down. You got 5 studs there. Anything more than 4, you have to be strapped again. If you have a load here, you have a load there. That load has to be carried from the top floor down. This load probably needs to add some studs underneath it. I think it's carrying a double truss upstairs. And anything over 1,000 square foot has to be draft stop. I think this house is right at 983 square feet, so it doesn't have to have it, but if you did, you would have to draft stop in the middle of the house to cut off the 1,000, divide it by 2. Then we look at the headers, schedule, the king studs. This triple window has a bunch of jack studs under it. It's got more king studs, so they put more jacks under it for the load. Next, we'll come over here to the stairway. Any stairway that's sitting on concrete has to have a vapor barrier or something underneath it because it's not treated. Then we kind of look at the headroom of the stair to the beam up here, the LVL. It would have to be 6'8" is your headroom after you sheetrock it. Then you can look at your hangers, make sure your hangers are the right hangers, make sure they're nailed properly. Your LVL needs to have a bearing of 1.5 inches, so make sure it's got 1.5 inch bearing on the top plate. And then we make sure our stairway has 2 nails in each 2x4 going up, that way for extra strength to hold it. And then we make sure underneath our landing on the exterior wall we have an air barrier and it's sealed. And then make sure underneath the landing that our floor joist has bearing. If not, they need hangers. LVL stands for laminated veneer lumber. And engineers will put this in their drawings for extra support. Okay, so now we go up the stairway. Your stairs come to a landing, which has to be 36 by 36. If you have a window that is on your landing, you would have that in the path of travel, it would have to be a tempered window. Make sure all your blocking is done on your stairway. Make sure they're sealed. All penetration had to be sealed. So now we're at the second floor of the house. These were the low points I was telling you about for the first floor that need to be carried down. These two. That one's carried down, this one's not, so we need to add more studs underneath it to the first floor. Then we look at the triple truss, make sure they're nailed properly, and make sure your hangers are the right hangers for the product on the plan, per plans. Make sure all the windows are in. Of course, we're missing one. Then we look at the air barriers, make sure all the air barriers are sealed on the exterior walls, and they got to be in any chase. Make sure your chases are sealed. That's it.
Hey everybody, my name's Rebecca Knight. I'm going to be doing a rough insulation inspection today. I'm the building inspector and code enforcement officer for the city of Mebane. All right, so first we're going to start in the garage. This is an exterior wall going to the interior of the house. Any exterior walls and walls in general, you have to have R15, which you can see here. The ceiling going to the upstairs requires R19, which he has here. If you see at the top plate, he's fire caulked everything, basically just keeps air from moving in and out of the house from the garage. On these exterior walls and the other exterior wall, which we'll show you in a second, he doesn't have to have insulation there since it's not going towards the house, it's just the exterior wall. Really other than that, we just make sure everything's sealed, like I said, electrical wires, everything like that, and then we'll move into the house. All right, now we're in the interior of the home downstairs. The one thing that we do check for is that they need a seal around these windows and doors. Also up here, they have to seal between that top and bottom plate, again, to keep air from moving in and out. They also have to seal all the way around that top plate. Basically, we just go all downstairs, make sure insulation's everywhere, all windows and doors are sealed, and then we move upstairs. All right, so as we move upstairs, as Brandon talked about earlier, all you have to do going up the stairs, make sure they fire caulked all the way up the stairs. If they drill any holes for electrical wire, you also make sure that's sealed, and the air barrier under the stairs also has to be sealed, and then we go up to the second story. All right, so now we're on the second story. As we're gonna show you in a second, this pink insulation is R38. The reason why he has this here instead of blown insulation is it's less than 400 square feet. Everywhere else, what I'm gonna show you is the baffles are installed. That's basically gonna keep insulation when they blow the insulation from going out into the house. And everything else, same thing as downstairs. Walls R15, floors R19, and everything's sealed going to exterior. Okay, so now we're in a different home. This home is almost at the final. What I wanted to show you in the garage, which you can really see because they have power. Down here, this concrete-like texture is called parging. They are required to have R10 insulation in the garage, and that parging basically protects and insulates that from any, like say, water or anything that would come from the garage. Okay, so once we get to the attic, like I was talking about in that previous home, they put those baffles in to keep the blown insulation from going out of the house. What we'll show you upstairs is a certification sticker. Basically, when the contractor comes in, they blow R42 insulation, and that's certifying that they did do that. We, again, like Cliff talked about previously, we make sure that the attic door is insulated. In this case, it's not an attic pull down because the equipment's down here, it's not up there. So you just make sure this insulation is right, which it is, and that's really all we do in the attic area. Thank you today for joining us on a rough inspection. I hope you learned something that you didn't know before. And again, remember to keep Mebane positively charming.